Hello, good evening, and welcome to News at 10 on TV3. I'm Stephen NT. Let's first start with the major news highlights of the day. Hundreds of residents in Agabaji and Blekusu in the K2 South district of the Volta region have been rendered homeless following tidal waves that swept through the town Saturday night, causing extensive damage to property in the area. In sports, Ghana trashed Ethiopia 5-0 in the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON Group F qualifier at the Babayara Sports Stadium in Kumasi on Sunday. The win takes the Black Stars to the top of Group F standings with 3 points. Teachers and pupils of Esreso Basic School in the Bosomtwe district of the Ashanti region are living in fear as erosion continues to erode portions of their classroom block. The roof of the school leaks badly and lessons are often affected when it rains. And family and friends of the late Major Maxwell Adam Mahama Sunday joined the Lighthouse Chapel Kodesh in Accra to thank God for seeing them through their trying times. The service climaxed activities in memory of the late Major who was killed while on duty at Dinchira Boise in the Central Region. Those were our major news highlights. Up next is the big one. Remember, we're streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Welcome. This is the big one. Hundreds of residents in Agabaji and Blekusu in the K2 South district of the Volta region have been rendered homeless following the tidal wave that swept the towns Saturday night. This is a perennial occurrence, displacing residents and causing damage to property in the area. The Dufia of Agabaji, Togbi, Akonogwa appealed to government for the construction of sea defense to protect the coast from the ravaging waves. Meanwhile, a similar fate has befallen residents in Akpula Banya in the Adan West district of the Greater Accra region who were displaced due to tidal waves that also hit them. Fishing nets have also been buried by the sea sand, with seawater entering the rooms of residents, resulting in property loss. Political leaders of Adan West earlier visited the community to assess the extent of damage caused by Saturday's tidal waves. Right, let's quickly get onto the telephone lines. Dr. Denis Wolanyo Aheto is Director Center for Coastal Management, University of Cape Coast. He's joining us on the telephone lines now. Good evening, Doc. We're grateful for your time. So, over the last few years, we seem to have had some form of increase in tidal waves. Some say this is as a result of climate change. Are sea defense walls, for example, the answer, or you would say we humans have to take care of the environment we live in?
Yeah, good evening to your listeners. Yeah, the events as is happening in Ghana today really calls for worry and for us as a country to have a concerted approach to this problem. Indeed, it does underscore the vulnerability of our coastal environment as well as the shorefront community. Because if you look at the damage to both public and private infrastructure, not to talk about the life that have been lost over the years, it's really problematic. Climate change is one of the issues that has been ascribed to the problem of this issue. But the reality of the case is that some of our own habits is also leaves much to be desired. So I would rather call for a broader-based stakeholder consultation on this matter, and we need to really look at our own practices in terms of our land use planning. We got to look at how we as a country can get involved in coastal and marine spatial planning as a way of reducing the hazards, the coastal hazards and vulnerability by looking at the hard and soft options.
So when you say hard and soft options, I mean, for those of us who are not technically inclined, would like to know what options you refer to as hard and what you refer to as soft.
Well, I'm looking at hard in not really in the sense of engineering as the word has been used in the past. But to be honest, we have to take some hard measures as a country by making government really sitting up to compulsorily acquire some of these places and relocate these communities that normally get into this kind of situation. Most of these areas are low-lying, and it is imperative that we do not continue engaging our people in this kind of issue.
Right. Now, we also know that your center, the Center for Coastal Management at the University of Cape Coast, has been undertaking some projects in this regard. What are you doing? What updates can you give us on exactly the programs you're pursuing?
The Center for Coastal Management, in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development and the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences, have been engaged in building the capacity of government stakeholders, the national disaster management organizations in particular, and also the land use and spatial planning authority, and of course members of the National Development Planning Commission, to, as it were, take them through issues that has to do with climate change adaptation. Because whether we like it or not, climate change, as we all know, will become more severe with rising sea levels. So the issue would be for us to identify how we can undertake vulnerability assessments, I mean, in a proactive way, so that at the end of the day, we can have institutions whose capacities are well built that can address broader institutional arrangements in a very coordinated way based on lessons that have been learned elsewhere, how these issues were tackled.
Right. Doc, we're grateful for your time. Dr. Dennis Wolanyo Aheto is the Director for the Coastal Management University of Cape Coast. And British Prime Minister Theresa May says the government planned to focus on social issues and delivering a successful Brexit as she completed a cabinet reshuffle. We have details of that story. After a short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, before we went on break, I did tell you that the British Prime Minister Theresa May says the government, her government, planned to focus on social issues and delivering a successful Brexit as she completed a cabinet reshuffle. The Prime Minister said the new lineup brought in talent from across the whole of the Conservative Party. Her comments came after Michael Gove, one of the driving forces behind Brexit, returned to the front bench as Environment Secretary. Most other ministers have kept their roles, but Liz Truss is moved from Justice to Chief Treasury Secretary. Right, so let me quickly take you through some poll statistics we have here. You can see that in the polls generally, the Conservatives, which had 318 seats, lost 13 of those The Labour Party, which had 262 seats before the elections, gained 30. If you look at the margin of gains, they're the party which had the most gains. The Scottish National Party had 35 seats and lost 21. They were virtually trashed. And Liberal Democrats had 12 seats and they gained additional 4. The DUP had 10 seats and they had additional 2. And other parties which went into the election lost 2, which had 13 seats, lost 2. And the UKIP, the Independent Party, had 0 and they still maintained the 0 seats. So let's quickly get on to Skype. And from the United Kingdom, Awula Sewa is a member of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, who is also part of the Concerned Ghanaians Pan-Africanists at home and the diaspora. Awula Sewa, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. Prime Minister May has been described as kind of a walking dead because the Conservative Party didn't do too much. The party lost 13 seats. How is her attempt to form a government with the Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP, which won 10 seats? How is that union going?
Well, I mean, it's early days yet, but there's talk that there's going to be another election, and there's even talk that Jeremy Corbyn might be asked to form a government. But let me take us back a bit. As you rightly said, the Conservative Party had a majority. They could have carried on, but they chose to have a snap election after Theresa May had repeatedly said she would not have a snap election. And the reason she gave was that she wanted a stronger hand to negotiate for Brexit. As we can all see, it didn't happen. She lost seats. And so many, even Conservatives within her party, are saying that the best thing for her to do is to resign because she's being described as the walking dead.
I know that she came into this as somebody who was opposed to Brexit. So somebody opposed to Brexit, and now she is leading Brexit. Became a little problematic. I'm sure it was the main reason why the British voters decided to more like punish her. Do you see that? Do you anticipate that she will hang on for a little longer, or like George Osborne said, a walking dead woman, she might just decide to just hung up, leave everything, and just go home?
Let's go back a bit. She chose to have the election. You rightly said that she was part of Remain, but it didn't really matter. Once you are the leader and the party has, and the country has decided to leave, she could have negotiated the leave. The problem is that Theresa May and the Conservative Party believed the media, which told them that the Labour Party was weak, Jeremy Corbyn was unelectable, when that was not the case. The election wasn't about Brexit. The election was about living standards. The UK living standards have really, really, really gone very down. You have nurses and you have police officers going to food banks because their earnings are just not going anywhere. You have housing, which is an issue in one of the richest countries in the world. But
Awula, let me cut you in. Housing and those issues have always been a problem in the United Kingdom. There are the social support systems that exist in that country recognizes that these things are there. And I'm sure that because Britain exited made a decision to exit from the European Union, things got a bit worse. Why was she taking the flak for it?
Let me try and explain things to you. I was knocking on doors. I was talking to people. People were not voting because of Brexit. They were looking at their living standards. And for the first time in decades, the Labour Party had gone back to its socialist roots. Because maybe you might be aware that under Blair, the Labour Party went very much to the right. And there wasn't much difference in some people's eyes between austerity and austerity light. But Jeremy Corbyn came in. There was a very, very clear distinction between what the Labour Party stands for, what the Conservatives stand for. And people opted for hope. People opted for hope. People decided that there's another way of looking at the world. Jeremy Corbyn brought out a socialist manifesto, and people were saying, actually, this can work. Britain can begin to work for the many, not just for the chosen few. So that's what the election was about. What path does Britain want to go on?
And talking about Corbyn, he has said that he can still be a prime minister as he aims to scuttle Theresa May's attempt to run a minority government. Is there a realistic chance that this could happen?
Well, do you think it's realistic for someone who said that she was going to get more seats so that she could govern? She said she was strong and stable, and she turned out to be weak and wobbly. And she's also joining forces with the DUP, a party that refused to sign the Friday agreement, you know, the Northern Ireland issue. And I don't think her position is tenable. Yes, it is possible, it will be challenging, but it is possible for Jeremy Corbyn to form a minority government. I'm not saying to be easy, it's going to be very problematic, but it is possible.
And is this what Labour supporters are hoping for, and the majority of British people who wish to get the Labour Party returned to power? Is this what they're hoping for?
Well, obviously, would have preferred a clear win. But as you might know or not know, the media was, you know, they made an onslaught on Jeremy Corbyn from 2 years ago when he was made leader of the Labour Party. There's been an onslaught of negative articles in the press, even members of the Labour Party who are more interested in going on the right, that is interested in cuts for the sake of cuts as an ideological matter and not so much that the country needs it. So even within the Labour Party, there were parliamentarians who were not supporting him, but the country worldwide can see that there's another path. So yes, we might have another election. That's what people think. In fact, today I've just come from a event we organized celebrating, you know, Jeremy Corbyn's fantastic campaign and the Socialist Manifesto. And what most people think is that we will have another election in whether 6 months, whether a year, and this time the Labour Party will make a clear win.
We also have read that 3 people of Ghanaian origin, Adam Afriyie, Sam Jima and Kwesi Kwarteng, won the elections to the British Parliament. Does this say anything about opportunities for Ghanaian residents in the United Kingdom?
Yes, these MPs have been there. They've been in the Conservative Party for a while. The opportunities are there. I mean, if you want to be a member of Parliament, obviously you need to get engaged, know how the system works. They are Conservative candidates, which means they joined the Conservative Party, were selected and elected. But at this stage, yes, there are opportunities. But what is on people's minds is that whether you are Ghanaian, Nigerian, if you want to go into politics, what is it that you believe in? How do you think you can make Britain a better place to live in? What is your way of thinking? So that's what's more important to most people. The way forward to make Britain a country that works, as I've said, for all people living here and not just the chosen few. So that's what's on people's mind. What do you have to bring to the table?
Right, Awola Sewa, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Awola Sewa joined us from London. She's a member of the Labour Party and is also part of the Concerned Ghanaians and Pan-Africanists at home and the diaspora. Let's move away from Awola Sewa. The people of Sena East District failed to attend the 2017 World Child Labour Day activity at KJG, the district capital. Reasons still unknown. The event organized by the Ghana National Association of Teachers in collaboration with the Education International and Peace Corps was to educate the people against child labour, which is prevalent in the district.
The 5-day fact-finding and consultative education tour began with a visit to some of the 38 island communities in the Sena East District. It was on the theme, In Conflict and Disaster, Protect Children from Child Labour, focusing on the social cost of galamsey in Ghana. It was climaxed with a Deba, which was preceded by a route march of pupils from some selected schools. After waiting for close to 1.5 hours, the program began following the arrival of the chairperson and her entourage, with only the teachers and pupils in attendance. 30 minutes into the program, 2 women joined. Not even the staff of the district assembly on which grounds the event was being held attended. The head of Membership Education Committee at the Ghana National Teachers Association, Thomas Musa, set the tone for the event.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers believe that an important strategy for making a significant difference in our communities is to bring all stakeholders to buy into the National Plan of Action 2 towards the fight against child labor.
The Acting District Director of Education, Abiru Akangari, praised NAT for the initiative and urged parents to desist from child rights abuse and promote the welfare of the wards.
Then they engage children who are supposed to be in school to do economic work, to fight poverty and ignorance and illiteracy. The best way is for the child to be educated. That's the only way you can empower the child.
Guest speaker and executive director of PACODEB, George Achibra, was devastated child labor still exists on the islands after years of sensitization.
Let us all march to the lake now. We found children at work. They start work at 3 a.m. They come back and remove all this kind of fish and bring it to shore, and they start mending nets. And they go back at 3 o'clock and come back at 9 o'clock. You ask yourself, what is your role? Nana, what is your role? My director, what is your role? Nana, what are we doing? This is assembly. What are we doing to safeguard the children?
The chairperson and queen mother of Nkomi traditional area, Nanama Mintenso II, pledged to lead the crusade in the district.
I'll first educate the parents about how to challenge the child labor. Involving the teachers will also help me to educate the parents and how we are going to go about the child labor.
A representative of the Member of Parliament of the area, Solomon Joshua Lamarck, admonished the inhabitants to accept the teachers' pleas to ensure children are given the desired education. At the end of the event, only 7 residents showed up, bringing the total number to 9. But why residents failed to turn up for the event still remained uncertain.
And the abandoned Bolgatanga Catering Rest House, which has the potential to improve on the socio-economic lives of people in the Upper East region, will soon be revived. The Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Mavis Hawa Kumson, is determined to get the facility back on track to create jobs to alleviate poverty in the area. Eva Tibokas reports.
Bolgatanga Catering Rest House, when revived, would create jobs for many. A swimming pool, over 200 chalets, video theaters, cultural and artifact center are some of the components of the facility. Chief Executive Officer of SADA, Dr. Charles Abugri, recalled the facility provided excellent social-cultural services for the people of Ghana and beyond in the 70s and 90s. Dr. Charles Abugri, briefing the minister on the viability of the project, says the facility has a high economic potential to turn around the economies of the Upper East region. Minister for Special Development Initiative, Mavis Hawa Kumson, shares in Dr. Charles Abugri's vision. SADA has already acquired the facility for the socio-economic development of the people of the Upper East region and is in talks with investors to revive it. Dr. Charles Abugri said $3.5 million is needed for the first phase of the rehabilitation.
And that's how we draw the curtains for news at 10. Thanks for making time. I'm Stephen Enti. There is more news at 3news.com. On behalf of the crew here, good night.